Good afternoon. So I'm here with my Walther PPQ M2. This is the one with the 21 round chain belt magazine. Okay, seems reliable so far. I did have a little issue. I put 10 CO2s through at 630 shots. Yeah, you get 63 shots from each CO2. And when I put the 11th CO2 in, I tend to dry fire the first two shots off because they seem a bit high. When I fired it, the actual slide went back, and it actually went right the way back, and it just lifted at the back and jammed. Now, I've discovered that I think when the way they assembled this is they must put it all the way back like that, and actually slide the actual top slide on and drop it on. They must use a tool, and it overrid the spring, because the spring in the bottom is not that strong actually. So I managed to get it all back together again, and I'm going to test shoot it now. So we're going to use some H&N's FPTs. These are 8.64 grain. And what I've got a target there at 10 yards. I'm going to put 6 in there. I've got a target at 12.5 meters. I'm going to put 6 in there. I've got 6 cans, which I'm going to attempt to knock down. And I've got 3 cans there at 12, and 3 cans at 15 meters. Okay. So we'll see if this shoots okay. Okay. So you should be able to see the blowback action. And that is what happens. So there's something not right with that. So, and it's completely jammed. Good afternoon. So I'm back with my PPQ M2. I've just redone the actual slide because it jammed off. So what I had to do, I had to take the slide off, like you would a field strip, push it back on. I don't know, I reset the hammer at the back. And what I used a spanner with some cloth around it to protect the front, trying to mark the front, which I have done already, and then push a little pressure down it right the way back, and then bring the slide back onto the runners like that. So it's back together. We're going to have another go, see what it does next. So that was a one shot we fired. Let's see if it fires more than one shot. Here it goes. This is not good. So I'm back with the Umarex PPQ M2 chain magazine pistol. Now I'm just going to show you the slide. See, so that's single action, double action. So it all seems to function okay. Okay, but if you go to this point here and you push it further back, there's a little click. And that is where I think it goes all the way back, it flicks off. See, there's play once it gets past that click. So I think that's the issue. I think there's some sort of either there's some sort of wear in there, or it's the way it's assembled. So we're going to have one more go at it, and it'll probably jam first shot, but we'll give it a go anyhow. Okay. There you go. So there's definitely an issue with the Walther PPQ M2. Oddly enough, it ain't the magazine, which is actually the more technical side of it. So, I tell you what, I just don't get that. I mean, they've been making blowback pistols, yeah, for, well, donkeys, haven't they, with BBs. But it's the magazine is actually the engineering side of it, and it's a work of art, and it's the only thing that's actually works properly. Okay, so I'm going to put all this video together and you can watch it. Thanks for watching. Right, I'm back with my PPQ M2. I've just shown the videos that the actual slides jammed 3 times on the first shot. So what I'm going to do, I'm just trying something a bit different. I'm going to put my thumb on top of this and see if she holds the actual slide and stops it from actually blowing up its rail. Okay, so here we go. I'm not sure I'm going to see that because I can't see the actual slide. There you go. Yep, still there. Yep, still on there. Right, let's go for the other target. open our cans. That's where they're going actually, that's to one side I think. Yeah, they are. Yeah, so got the magazine. Yep, she's empty. So there's obviously some sort of issue with this slide blowing too far back, and that's what's flicking it off the rail. Because by putting my thumb on there and just slowing it down a little bit, it stayed on. So I think you probably want a stronger turn spring at the front, because you've got in your guide, your front guide here, there's a spring behind here. That's what makes it go back. That's what I mean, go backwards and forwards. So I reckon a stronger spring at the front Umarex would fix this. Because maybe from new, and like I said, it's not an issue, but obviously with use, that spring will lose a little bit of its tension, which I think is probably the case after, well, I mean, I'll put 630 plus these through, so yeah. Good evening, I'm back with my fourth PPQ M2 belt-fed pistol. I've got some JSB Expresses, 21 shots in here, 7.86 grain, and I've got some cans out there. I've got 6 at 12.5 metres and 3 at 15 metres. Now this is obviously post-spring stretch, I shall call this. I'll just stretch the actual turn spring to stop it slide from popping off. It just had occasional jam, but it's not actually flying off now. So let's zoom in and see how we do. I know roughly where to aim. So there you go. This is the second magazine. So the CO2, got the CO2, the highest pressure CO2 is gone now, so it should be okay. There it goes. Right, now the 15 metre ones. That one. Am I breathing? Get it again. Small can, I'll go for the big one first. Right, so we get a small can out. Put the aim above it, I think. 15 metres out. Not sure where the pellets are going, that's the problem. Yeah, got it. Finally got it. Excuse me. There we go. So I'm not sure whether the pellets on the small can was going over the top of it or they're going low. The only way to do it would be to review the video. But yep, it's certainly accurate. I mean, how many pellets got left? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I used 15 pellets on 9 targets. So yeah, I missed quite a few out at 15 metres. But yeah, I might just shoot the rest of these off. I didn't have any jams, so the slide didn't jam on me, so that's good news. So maybe she's settled down, but if she does jam again, I shall leave the slide off and stretch that spring a bit more and see if I can increase the tension a little bit more on the actual blowback, just to stop it from popping off. But yeah, I've got 6 more shots left, so we'll see if we can hit these rest of these cans on the ground. So yeah, she's shooting okay now. So obviously, whatever the problem is, it's something that Umarex could probably fix themselves. They really need to probably increase the pressure, the strength of that spring just a little bit, not the actual overall compression length, because obviously compression length is going to be important, because if it's compressed too long, they won't be able to get the slide over and onto the rails, which is how they've assembled this. But the actual overall strength of the spring could do with in strengthening and make it a bit more robust. Only time will tell when I carry on shooting this, and I will carry on shooting it and to see what happens next. Only time will tell. But I've just put another 3 CO2s through. That's another 189 shots through. So that's getting up for 800. Even though, like I said, it did hiccup at 630. So yeah, but yeah, seems to be shooting all right, and accuracy seems pretty good if you can keep still enough. I'm struggling, to be honest. Arms outstretched, my hernia starts to tighten up, and I really struggle to keep it still for a couple of those shots. So yep, hope you like the little video. Thanks for watching. Good morning. So this is a follow-up to my shooting video where I had the actual slide pop off. Now, after I fixed the actual slide from popping off the back, all I did was extended the spring by about ½ an inch, the Recoil spring, which I'll show you shortly. I carried on shooting her, and she was shooting fine. She did another, well, 1,071 shots, and then the slide popped off again. Now, you can see by the amount of movement here, see how loose this is now, that the Recoil spring has lost its pressure. So in total, it's probably done about 1,700 pellets before it's, obviously it had a jam at after 567, the first jam. Then it spring a bit. It would seem to be okay for another 1,000 shots, and then it's lost all its tension. And it's lost so much tension now that you can actually remove this slide without actually shooting it now. So if I just pull that back and lift it, and see, it'll come forward and off. See, so that's how it's fitted. So the actual Recoil spring itself, it's just in there, you can just see it, that'll pull out. If we can just get it, that's it, just pull it off the front. Now, from new, this spring goes into a recess here, and it actually protrudes about that far. So obviously see how it's collapsed, it's lost all its tension, you can see how it's actually distorted. So this spring is not actually up to it. So Umarex needs to look at this and say, right, we need to increase probably the actual coil thickness, so the overall strength, without actually increasing the overall compressed length. Otherwise they won't be able to get the slide up and over and onto these rails, okay, the 2 rails either side, that actually. So that's the only way. So to actually, if your PPQ does pop off, you can see how short this spring is now. Let's see how it's only just in there now, just on the guide. It should actually protrude a bit, so it's lost all its tension. But the only way to actually put the slide back on, I shall just show you this. It's quite fiddly, but you take the actual slide itself, which is all one piece, and you actually have to pop it over the barrel on the guide, pull it down like that, and then what you have to do, and this is what I didn't do the first time, you want to use, well, I've got a spanner here, you need a bar, you need to put it in between the two. Yeah, between the guide, the Recoil guide, and the actual barrel. And then what you need to do is, because you need to push down on it, and then put the slide back on like that. Okay, you can see how loose it is as it's coming back, and it's actually lifting off the back of the rails there, because it's just going too far back. So you can see how little tension there is in that spring. So the actual, the Recoil spring has basically lost all its tension completely. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this apart, take the spring out, I'm going to measure the spring, its coil, its thickness of the actual coil, amount of coils, work out the overall depth of the guide and protrusion I need, and I shall look into getting an uprated spring. Yeah. There's various companies in the UK where you can order these. They use British steel, which is better than probably than Chinese steel. So obviously the quality of spring will be much more reliable. In other words, it probably won't lose its tensile strength. So that's the plan. It's a great shame, because this pistol is really good. I mean, reliability wise for the magazine side, with the chain magazine, it has actually been faultless. So this piece of great engineering, which has been faultless. It's put what 1800 pellets through. Yeah, it's been faultless. But the thing where most like blowback pistols have been around for donkey's years, obviously there's a bit of a design problem with that spring. It might be just this one, but you can see it's not even sitting on the spring. See, it's not even sitting flush now. That's how weak that recoil spring is. It's just not. It should be holding it tight against that, shouldn't it? So the blowback acts and it blows back and returns the slide fully forward, which is not even doing that. So yeah, that's what my thing is, and I shall make a follow-up video. I shall add this to the shooting video, so people can see what's happened, and I shall look into getting a replacement spring, and if I work out how to do it, get the right dimensions. It's important it sits inside the recess where the spring goes. That's quite important. So the overall diameter of the actual spring is very important. Obviously, you don't want it too long, compressed length, otherwise you won't get the slide on. So I'll be getting my vernier out and doing some measurements, and probably seeing what the overall thickness of the wire is, the diameter of the wire is itself that the spring's made out of, and looking at probably getting a slightly thicker wire, which should improve the overall strength of the spring and also the reliability of the spring as well. So I hope you like that video. Thanks for watching.